LGBTQ plus daily evening news. It's time to queer up the news. It's 8 p.m. Monday, March 21st, 2022, and we are literally out of the closet and into the headlines. So many of your important stories we're going to tell this evening on Queer News Tonight.
This is the world's first live daily LGBTQ evening news show, literally out of the closet and into the headlines on Queer News Tonight with Al Ferguson.
Hello and thank you for joining Queer News Tonight. This is the world's first and only unedited live LGBTQ plus evening news show. Whatever happens, you will see it. Queer News Tonight is supported by viewers like you. We are part of the partnership between Happening Out television networks and Hotspots magazine. Hotspots is celebrating 36 years of the LGBTQ plus experience. We bring you the best of LGBTQ plus news, entertainment, and support of our community.
Well, if you're interested in the news, you're getting ready to hear lots of interesting things. I'm your anchor at Queer News Tonight, Al Ferguson, and let's welcome anchor FayWhat. She's a radio and television personality and has a popular blog and YouTube channel aiming to unite the L and the G together. I've heard that before, by the way, John. She's a hostess and MC for many South Florida events, an animal advocate, and owner of Faye's Fur Family. Also, make sure to catch the FayWhat show, the first LGBTQ plus morning show on Mondays at 9 a.m. Eastern. It was this morning. Great show.
Yes,
by the way.
It was.
You can watch it online or on your smart television. Good evening, Faye.
Good evening, and I just want to say hello to the girls from Compass that were on my show this morning. We're going to see you on Sunday, baby, for Pride, and I am looking forward to it. So, Miss Julia and also Michael, you girls are awesome. Thank you for being on my show this morning. Next up, let's welcome my brother from another white mother, John Hayden. John's been a journalist for 27 years and now works for several South Florida outlets, including SFGN, covering politics, arts, and the bar scene, mostly for the latest on Happy Hours. He spent much of his career covering the stupidity and scandals of Hollywood and interviewed nearly every big name in TV, movies, music, etc. John considers the time he had to sit and interview Shirley MacLaine, she's still alive, after she yelled at him, as the scariest 4 minutes of his life. Good evening, John.
I'm just glad I'm still alive after.
Yeah, I'm wondering.
Yeah, right.
You're still alive.
Yeah, and you know, Al and I had a great day this afternoon. We went, Dean Trentalis, Mayor of Fort Lauderdale, announced he is not going to be running for the open congressional seat in Florida's 22nd District. The details of the event are online right now at SFGN, SouthFloridaGayNews.com. So please go over, have a look.
So Al takes you to things like that. Me and Al go party and have a great time, and you go to a press conference.
It was an
that.
exciting press conference, though. Next, let's welcome anchor Dino Mosquera. He joined the Miami Gay and Lesbian Film Festival in the late 90s and now serves on the Outshine Film Festival's board of directors. He is now the screening committee chairman, selecting films for one of America's most important LGBTQ plus film festivals. Welcome, Dino.
Thank you, John. Let's remind everybody the Outshine Film Festival is coming up in Miami, April 22nd to May 1st.
Woohoo!
That'll be great.
Oh my God, right around the corner.
Yeah, so let's welcome now anchor Gregg Shapiro, an inductee into the Chicago LGBT Hall of Fame. Gregg is the author of 8 books, including his latest, Fear of Muses, an entertainment journalist whose celebrity interviews and music reviews run in a variety of regional LGBTQ+ and mainstream publications and websites. His movie review column called Screensaver can be found in South Florida Gay News, San Francisco's Bay Area Reporter, RottenTomatoes.com, and more. Good evening, Gregg.
Hello, and happy National Common Courtesy Day. We are the reporters.
Wow. Still a serial killer wannabe.
Queer News Tonight. This evening, we begin with the queer headlines. The LGBTQ plus community in South Florida and across America is diverse. Our community across the world is vast. And here are the bullet points of the Queer News for today, Monday, March 21st. Today starts LGBT Health Awareness Week.
Oh, I liked your day a little better. All right, well, let's begin by queering up education. Biden White House officials meet with Florida LGBTQ plus youth to show support. Last week, the U.S. Secretary of Education, Miguel Cardona, alongside Admiral Dr. Rachel Levine, Assistant Secretary for Health at the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, held a virtual roundtable with LGBTQ plus students and families from Florida, hosted by the White House Office of Public Engagement. During the roundtable, both officials reiterated the Biden administration's support of the LGBTQ plus community, shared mental health resources available from the federal government, and heard from students and families about the impact recent anti-LGBTQ legislation has had on their communities and school experiences. During the event, Admiral Levine said, quote, "We need to support LGBTQI plus youth, their parents and families to help them achieve the good health and quality care they deserve. Our communities have a champion in President Biden. The president supports equality and works to ensure everyone is represented. And that gives people a voice, a chance to affect change, to help people understand the diverse needs of our nation," end quote.
And, I think it's so on point that we're doing this story at the start of LGBTQ Health Awareness Week. And the fact is, just a few years ago, we all would have conflated this with, AIDS awareness, HIV awareness. Now it's really about the mental health and the physical health of our trans youth being able to get the help that they so desperately need. And by the way, speaking of HIV awareness, this last weekend was the AIDS Walk here in South Florida. More than $2 million was raised for local LGBT health organizations, including AHF, Broward House, SunServe. It was a great day. There's still time to give. If you can, please do.
Awesome. I think this is beautiful and it's cute. And Dr. Rachel did a great thing by, heading this this roundtable with these children online. But what exactly does it mean by saying our authorities are here to protect and support LGBTQ? Like, what are they going to do? Because a virtual speakeasy is not really going to do much. I mean, and why was it online? Why wouldn't she come down here herself and see them in person and show them exactly like, yeah, don't say gay pass, but we've got your back.
I think it's very important, not only, Biden as an ally of our community, that he appoints people like her and Miguel Cardona, and particularly as a Latino man, to see a Latino man in the position he is. He was actually this last weekend on the opinion shows on Sunday. He was wearing a pen with a rainbow flag. This is, this may be minuscule, but this is significant. He's an ally, and he, as a Latino man, that most sure straight, but he's an ally of our community, and he's actually out there putting a voice to our community. I think that's important, and I give pros to Biden for appointing them to support us.
Mm-hmm. And having an ally, having a champion like Biden, describing him, he truly is, and both of them, Biden and Harris. So, yes, I don't know how to answer your question exactly, Faye, but it is good to have these voices. Imagine, again, the predecessor, that beast.
Yeah.
That would have just been a whole other horror show.
I think I can give a shot to answering your question twofold. First, it is very interesting and I think rewarding that the White House and the leadership at Health and Human Services and Cardona, I agree with you on the wearing the pen in a presentation is incredibly symbolic. It is a reflection of what they have watched over the last 2 months in Florida with Don't Say Gay and other related DeSantis-led authoritarian take family rights away, but will gaslight and say it's under parental and family decision making. And their participation is to say, well, look, we're getting ready to sue Florida, which is what the federal government's getting ready to do. That's what they can do. They're going to fight and fight. They'll delay an implementation of this, which is not supposed to happen until the end of the summer. It will go into the courts, and they're going to tie it up probably for at least the next 2 years until the Supreme Court is willing to hear it. And then we'll see what's happening. But that's one thing that they can do. The other thing that they can do is exactly what they're doing. I love this move, and I love what the Biden White House is doing because it's so incredibly ordinary. And they're not trying to make some ridiculous positioning like the former administration did of saying, I'm the greatest, hugest thing ever, ever, ever. The Biden administration and health and education is simply saying, this is right, so therefore we should do it. And that's all. We're done. Yeah. Incredibly ordinary. And that's why this moment was so spectacular, because it was incredibly ordinary.
Yes, absolutely was. And we move on and queer up the worldview. Ukrainian LGBTQ plus soldiers are now fighting the Russian invasion. Queer News Tonight has previously reported on the issues LGBTQ plus Ukrainians are facing with the Russian invasion underway. The Russian government has made no secret of the fact that they dislike or despise the LGBTQ plus community, with bans on gay content and media and the gay purge in the Russian territory of Chechnya. But the LGBTQ plus is fighting back. Vlad Shast has gone from performing in drag shows to volunteering with the Ukrainian Territorial Defense. Now he uses his contacts from doing drag and being a stylist to help find and organize materials and supplies for the army. In an interview, he said, quote, "If Russia wins, it means darkness. There will be no freedom, no opportunity to be yourself, no rights for diverse communities," end quote.
Listen, drag queens are badasses, okay? Not because I had to dress up as one last Thursday for a fundraiser.
You look
but,
great.
Oh, thank you very much. Okay, those fishnet stockings can be used in war. I'm not even fronting. I know you think it's a joke, but seriously, like I couldn't breathe, okay? Anyway, it's sad that this gentleman has to go from drag queen to, to frontline fighter, but he's got to. The gay combat volunteers, they are depending on LGBTQ plus people to be there front lines fighting with the others. They need the manpower, and we're ready to help as a community.
And we're all well aware of what crazy Chechen ruler Kadyrov and his beard full of old food has been doing to the LGBT community in Chechnya. And of course, Putin has remained silent because he's as ignorant as Kadyrov.
You have to watch Welcome to Chechnya, that documentary, and that should be shown currently in Russia as we speak, to show the level of hostility in Russia against the LGBT community and the suffering of all these people, how they have to escape like rats because of these people are chasing them. I can only imagine what they will do with the Ukrainian LGBTQ community. And
it's a sad state of the affairs that the Russians and their satellite states, Kazakhstan and Belarus, which are border on Ukraine. Ukraine's no happy place for gay people, but that has been the let's go to Ukraine to get away from it all in Kazakh and Belarus. And now they're being pushed even further back into Poland and Hungary, which of course are not exactly welcoming. Well, they are being welcoming. They're being very welcoming right now, but as policy, they're not. So it's a disaster, not just for gay Ukrainians, but gay people through the region.
I think it's wonderful that the imagery of a drag queen is creating supplies and a resistance front. Now, remember Hogan's Heroes in the 1960s, and I'm imagining a drag queen added to that television platform, fighting, the inept, equally inept. In this instance, no longer the Nazis or Sergeant Schultz or Colonel Klink, but the Russian army, which apparently is pretty inept themselves. And so I smile that a drag queen is leading the fight resistance. So I have to say the name again, Vlad Shast. You've caught the attention of Queer News Tonight here in America. So good for you. I hope you're safe. I hope you keep fighting. And we think about Ukraine and Ukrainians in our support of your freedom efforts.
And if you need my fishnet stockings, I'll send them out to you.
Yeah.
No, I already have dibs on them, sorry.
Next, we queer up the USA view. Federal judge finally tells Kentucky clerk that denying same-sex licenses violates rights. Remember Kim Davis? You remember Kim Davis, the Kentucky Karen who refused to issue marriage licenses because of religious beliefs? U.S. District Judge David Bunning in Ashland, Kentucky, ruled on Friday that Davis, quote, cannot use her own constitutional rights as a shield to violate the constitutional rights of others while performing her duties as an elected official, and, quote, that she gets paid for. A jury must now decide, likely next month, what damages Davis owes the plaintiffs. I hope these plaintiffs get a long, long second honeymoon on this bitch. I said it, bitch.
Well, It's the shaming of the shrew.
Poor Kim Davis and
Poor Kim Davis. Can we say that again?
and her worn-out denim jumpers and uncombed hair. She may have to sell some of her Nazi memorabilia to raise funds to pay these damages.
You said it. It had to be said.
You know, I have to say, Kim, I haven't had an opportunity to say this in a long time because you're so irrelevant.
2015, Al.
Right? And I haven't had an opportunity, and you partially say it in the story. Kim the Kentucky Karen. I haven't said that in a long time, Kim. You know,
KKK.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you for making that connection. That's why I did it. She made the defense of not doing marriage certificate approval in her county because she said it violated her religious beliefs. First, the judge indicates, all right, finally, damn, I wish it wouldn't have taken 7 years, but finally says, nope, that's not true, and you're probably going to pay some damages for what you're doing.
Hope so.
And whatever happens next is going to be absolutely delicious. And then the other thing is you don't get to say, the Supreme Court's going to decide this summer, religion v. civil rights, LGBTQ civil rights. We don't hold out lots of hope, but we'll see what happens. You might be able to bake your cake. But you can't deny religious certification in your county, which is what the district court says. So please, challenge it. Take it to the Supreme Court. I am pretty confident you're going to lose. And by the way, one of the reasons it's not really all about religion is if you would have made that decision and then just shut up and not issued marriage certificates because you said it violated your religion, that would have been one thing. But that's not what you did. You remember Kim the Kentucky Karen? What you did was to go out on a national and worldwide crazy Trump Republican campaign and made it totally political. You lost your religious freedom argument because you're a total and utter Trumpster Republican, Q-embracing, ignorant person from Kentucky. You lost all your rights, dear.
Now let's queer up the worldview. Gay men tortured by the Taliban tell the world we need to be saved. Recently, the Taliban in Afghanistan has been going house to house searching for activists, especially those in the LGBTQ+ community, in its investigation on threats faced by the community after the Taliban's takeover. Human Rights Watch reported that LGBTQ+ Afghans were, quote, sexually assaulted or directly threatened by members of the Taliban because of their sexual orientation or gender identity, end of quote. In October, an Afghan man known only as Bilal was staying at a safe house with friends when a group of armed Taliban members broke in during the night and detained him and another person. In an interview, he said, quote, they brought rubber whips to tie my hands, laid me on my stomach, and beat my buttocks till I bled. They beat me up with power cables and threw cold water on me and passed electricity through it. These burns you are seeing are because of this. I pass out of pain, end of quote. At the end of the interview, Bilal said, quote, tell them we exist, we need saving, and we want to survive, end of quote.
This is heartbreaking. When you were reading this, I was like, oh, are we talking about Ukraine? Like, oh my goodness, you know, this is happening right now as we speak, and the Taliban is doing this, going door to door and saying, hey, you, okay, yeah, we're gonna torture you, basically, you know. I can't believe they allowed this interview, John.
Yeah. Yes. I mean, I'm sure it was a very secretive interview. I mean, it was done on the low. I mean, I'm sure Bilal is not his real name. And the fact is, Afghanistan is an unsolvable puzzle. The British weren't able to do it. The Russians, the Soviets weren't able to do it. We certainly weren't able to do it. And now the Taliban, as brutal as ever, has the imprimatur of legitimacy as an actual government, even though it only controls certain parts of the country, because nobody can control that whole area. Yeah.
You guys are gonna think that I relate everything to film, maybe, but
that is your world.
Yeah, but you guys have to watch Flea. And
Yes.
Flea is exactly about this. A wonderful
About
documentary. No, it's a kid,
FLEE.
an Afghan kid fleeing Afghanistan as a child with his family, and he happened to be gay, right? And what he goes through to leave Afghanistan and arrive in Europe as a child that happened to grow up and be a gay man, and how the suffering of the gays that have to leave Afghanistan to have a free life, and what they go through. It's just so timely that this is competing at the Oscar this year, and it probably will win as a documentary, as an animated picture, and it's also nominated to Best
It's
Film.
an animated picture?
It's an animated film. Yeah, because the guy that the real story, he had to remain anonymous, and he's friend with the director, and he filmed it. And to be able to make it, they did it on a wonderful animation. I mean, it's so well done. You have to see it. It's on Hulu, by the way.
Flea on Hulu.
Flea on Hulu.
Oh, thank you for that
Fantastic.
recommendation.
I worry that it's just a matter of time before our own Taliban, aka white nationalists, take it upon themselves to start doing something similar. I mean, I really do think it's just a matter of time before that happens.
When I hear the word Taliban, if it wasn't so serious for Afghanis and the region, and really the entire world from a humanitarian standpoint, they would be completely laughable if it wasn't so serious. The Taliban is morally bankrupt, they're politically bankrupt. From a leadership standpoint of their community, they're completely inept, bankrupt. And it's a situation in the story that you just told. They've gone house to house searching for queer people. That's what they're spending their time doing. I would recommend that they spend more time trying to find some food, because people are starving by the millions in Afghanistan. Instead, you're going house to house searching for queer people. And you know what that reduces the Taliban to? That reduces the Taliban to the ash heap of ridiculous philosophical policies that are tried to impose on other human beings. They will fail, just like the Soviet communism model, just like Adolf Hitler and Nazism, and just like the Taliban in Afghanistan. You are going to be relegated to the ash heap of very bad ideas.
And now we clear up politics. In 2022, nearly 240 anti-LGBTQ plus bills so far, a historic high. 2022, we had such high hopes for you. As the world started to get back to normal, however, the GOP realized they didn't really have any plan for the government. With midterms approaching, they decided instead to wage war on the LGBTQ plus community and make their platform about special issues instead of, actually governing. In just the first 3 months of the year, state lawmakers have proposed a record 238 bills that would limit the rights of LGBTQ plus Americans. In perspective, there were 191 anti-LGBTQ plus bills in 2021. The Republicans, just seriously, or as I call them, the Republicans.
But they kind of could. They kind of could. Greg, 191 last year, and then now this. Now what? 2023, we're going to be up to 400 bills against us?
And it's important to remember it is a scary number, and that is a lot. But in places like New York, where Democrats control at least one of either the chambers or the governor's mansion, these bills aren't going anywhere because Democrats will protect us. So one state senator can file 17 hateful bills, and it adds to the total.
And they won't go anywhere.
And they won't go anywhere. But obviously, we saw it here in Florida. They will go somewhere if you have the right combination. And the fact is, it's a big, glaring neon sign on the side of the road that says, this is what we're going to do if we get power again. So we have to, it's important to vote.
Vote and register, right.
Register to vote, but we're not the problem. Like, we're not the problem. There's a huge problem with drugs in our country that's beyond, okay? Do you remember Nancy Reagan? But she's still alive. Anyway, but that back in the 80s and 90s, that was a big deal. That was everywhere we turned was say no to drugs, a drug epidemic, blah, blah, blah. Nobody talks about that anymore. There's still people dying every single day from drugs. But we're going to talk about our trans youth that want to play basketball? Seriously?
Because they're pandering to their base. That's what they're doing. That's what, the governor And Ileana Garcia, let's say it once again, people like her basically pandering to the base so that they come out and vote.
Yeah.
When there's so many other things that are so important in the state of Florida that we should be debating, but instead they go with, let's not
give
say
them
gay.
water while they're voting.
That's
Let's mess with that.
And didn't Ileana just apologize
Yes,
for
she
saying
retracted,
the
apparently.
gay isn't a permanent
Right.
thing? But also that base, those are the opioid addicts, by the way. That base, the unvaccinated opioid addicts. That's the base.
You can't apologize for stupidity, which is what she was doing. She was saying, all of my friends, I made this comment.
Right.
Yeah.
It would be like me going, I've got black friends, I know black
That's
people,
right.
so I understand the black experience.
oh my
That's what she did. Oh, I know some gay people, and
they all say.
And they all say, and that's stupidity. It's funny. The story of the number of anti-LGBT laws is definitely the topical story. It's going to be the story of 2022, leading to midterms dealing with the LGBTQ community. But a slight subject change. It's an example of how we are bamboozled. It is how gaslighting works. They know what they're doing. So we can rail against them, and the more we rail against them, the more we're accomplishing what they want us to accomplish. Perfect example. Today starts the hearing for the Supreme Court nominee.
Oh yeah.
That is a no-brainer. There's virtually, please, I'll go out on this limb, and y'all can push me into the Grand Canyon if I'm wrong, but there's virtually no chance that she's not going to be approved. Virtually no chance.
Yeah.
She's going to get every single Democratic vote, which will be 50, and then Kamala Harris will be the deciding vote, or there will be Republicans. And I remind everybody, over all of the hubbubaloo over this Supreme Court nomination, multiples of Republicans have already repeatedly voted for her, including Miss Lindsay. And Miss Lindsay's going to do everything that she can say to light her hair on fire of what the first comments out of Miss Lindsay's mouth. Well, there you go again. Joe Biden just proves how radically progressive he is. Oh, excuse me, Miss Lindsay, you've already voted to make her a district justice. Are you radical? No, that doesn't matter, because I can misdirect and I can gaslight. And that's the world we live in. That's what's going on in these laws. You get it exactly right. These, in my opinion, these laws are exactly that. What we do with them after railing against it. Okay, rail. Go ahead, LGBTQ community. There's no value in it at all. What are we going to do about it? And the only thing that we can do about it is the only thing that's important. And everybody knows what I'm talking about.
Next, we report on our partnership with Sunshine Cathedral, the world's largest queer church here in Fort Lauderdale. We're broadcasting from our permanent set here at Sunshine in supporting that partnership. Happening Out Television Network broadcasts the largest LGBTQ+ religious live broadcast in the world, as more than 30,000 watch every Sunday at 10:30 a.m. Eastern. Watch this.
Hi, I'm Dean Trantalis, the mayor of the city of Fort Lauderdale. They say the gayest place on planet Earth, and Sunshine Cathedral is my queer church.
We are very excited, by the way. We are getting ready, 60 of us are getting ready to go to Italy with Sunshine Cathedral. And guess, 2 of the faces you see right now are getting ready to go, and we're the ones that are happy. Right.
Italy girls, watch out. Latina's coming for you.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, my wife too.
Yeah. Italian boys, too. All right, well, we're going to finish tonight's Queer News headlines with a segment we call LGBTQ plus Flash News. In LGBTQ plus Flash News, my brother,
your boyfriend,
from a different mother. Oh, no, he can't be my boyfriend because he would have to be a bottom. Tucker
So your boyfriend
Carlson,
then.
right. Tucker Carlson on the Russian evening news as a propagandist. He says that's slander. Watch this.
But Michael McCall does not assume the same about us. In recent days, McCall has told a number of people that this show is an organ of Russian disinformation. In other words, not only are we wrong, which is fine, we are disloyal Americans. We're doing the bidding of a foreign power. That is not fine. That is slander. Unlike Michael McCall, we are only and narrowly interested in the interests of our own country. That would be the United States, where we were born and where we plan to die. We don't care what the Russian government says. We only care what the United States does and what our future looks like because we have children here. But what's interesting is that McCall's slander against us, Russian disinformation, is also a well-worn Democratic Party talking point. Joe Biden, for example, calls anything he doesn't like Russian disinformation and has for years, as you just heard. That is the very same lie that Biden told about his son's incriminating laptop and many, many other things. So you have to ask yourself, why are so many Republicans suddenly talking like Joe Biden? And the answer is because on the big questions, the questions that matter, they agree with each other. And you should know that.
Well, clearly, Mr. Tucker Carlson is very upset. Clearly. Well, he has said that the U.S. Republican Representative Michael McCall, quote, has told a number of people that this show is an organ of Russian disinformation. In other words, not only are we wrong, which he says is fine, but we are also disloyal Americans. We're doing the bidding of a foreign power. By the way, he is leading the evening news every night in Moscow. And he says that is not fine. That is slander, end quote. McCall has been very vocally opposed to Putin's invasion of Ukraine and has called the Russian president a war criminal. Meanwhile, the Russian government has issued a memo saying, quote unquote, now this is not slanderous, quote, it is essential, in Russia's voice, to use as much as possible fragments of broadcasts of the popular Fox News host Tucker Carlson, who sharply criticizes the actions of the United States and NATO, their negative role in unleashing the conflict in Ukraine, we unleashed it, and the defiantly provocative behavior from the leadership of the Western countries and NATO toward the Russian Federation and towards President Putin personally, end quote. I think it's lovely. I was confused a moment when Tucker Carlson says, slander, slander, the well-worn out talking points. I'm confused, Tucker. Were you talking about what you've done for the last 4 years? Mm-hmm.
Even Russia sees how unpatriotic the Tucker Carlson show and Fox are. Why doesn't Tucker Carlson actually see that? I don't get it. Not slander, but the truth.
Yeah.
It's so fun to watch Republicans eat their own. And the fact is, if you're pro-Putin, you're anti-freedom. And that completely tracks with Tucker Carlson's personality.
Yeah, and another one lives up about 42 miles north of us.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think Tragic Tucker ever got over being ignored by that hot, popular gay classmate at boarding school.
Was that you, Al?
He's my brother. Get off my brother.
We now know where Carlson is going to be working at when he leaves Fox News. He's going to Archie. Is that
TASS,
Archie?
the TASS news service
That's
in
right.
Moscow, right?
LGBTQ plus flash news. Kornbread reveals what's next for Drag Race Season 15. Kornbread, the snack chate, had to leave Season 14 of RuPaul's Drag Race early after an ankle injury. Many have wondered if Kornbread would be returning in Season 15, and she addressed the rumors recently on Twitter. She posted, quote, "My run on Season 14 was nothing short of amazing. Unfortunately, I will not be returning to Season 15 of RuPaul's Drag Race. Great things ahead! I love and appreciate you all for the support. Let's make magic. Abracadabra." You know, that's part of it, but I don't know. I read the whole thing. It sounds like bitter party of one.
Mm-hmm. Oh. I just want to know, does Kornbread's ankle injury have anything to do with them being behind her ears?
Oh.
We are bitter
I know.
Me on Tucker, you on Kornbread. Wow.
I didn't care for her much during this season, but actually she made a friend of Willow Pill, and actually that changed my view of Kornbread. I mean, she's cool.
She's got the tattoo of Willow Pill on her thigh. A
That-
picture of
Really?
Willow Pill
That
on
is
her.
cute.
That's weird, bro.
That's cute. No, that is
You know,
cute.
I love that Kornbread is, she represents a trans woman of color. That's great.
That's right.
I do a shout out to my friend Kitty Meow. The Kitty Meow show his next episode is
Tuesday.
tomorrow night at 9 o'clock, and the guest for with Kitty is Kornbread. And let's just say, you know, you can't really come out and say, I'm on anything with RuPaul because the NDA is like 397 pages long. I'm just suggesting maybe we haven't heard the final story.
That's right.
Just saying.
The ankle was a fake. It was a fake. I'm calling it out right here, right now. She didn't twist nothing but that check that she took to the bank. All right? Look out to see what's next for Kornbread.
Oh, I'm coming for you if you're wrong, and I'm going to
my
give
God.
you no credit
Vamos
if
a
you're
ver.
right.
Vamos a ver. All right. LGBTQ plus flash news. Burger King employee used his gay powers to silence customers. Recently, an old man had been giving several women at a Burger King issues, making unwanted advances towards them. Matthew Castellon, a gay TikToker whose handle is MaxUcast, okay, at MaxUcast, decided to turn the tables on him, all right? So he used the creepy customer's own line against him, saying, quote, "You know what would look good on you? Me," end quote. Watch this.
You know what'll look good on you? You know what'll look good on you? Me.
He said it a lot sexier. I've been trying to use my gay powers to make people do things for years. For years.
I'd have been all, want to see my Whopper? It comes with cheese.
You know, that's
What is
an
happening?
injection will solve that problem.
What is happening?
Hashtag say gay powers.
You go, Matthew. You are my idol now, so good for you.
You know, one of the things I really love about 2022, everybody records everything. Everything is a living experiment, and we get to see fun things like this.
Yep.
LGBTQ plus flash news. Same-sex kiss restored to Pixar's Lightyear following Don't Say Gay. Backlash against Disney after CEO Bob Chapek refused to speak out against Florida's Don't Say Gay bill, not only from fans and shareholders, but also from internal employees. LGBTQ plus employees at Pixar filed a complaint that Disney execs had actively censored films, and now we know what one. In the upcoming film Lightyear, a film based on the character Buzz Lightyear, one of the female characters is in a meaningful relationship with another woman. A kiss between them had been cut from the film, but has recently been restored. And that is the voice of Udo Azuba from Orange is the New Black, so the female character.
You know, I know it's an unpopular opinion. I'm not commenting on the removal or return of the scene, but I know it's not a popular opinion. But we have to give our allies the opportunity of an off-ramp out of controversy. Disney made the mistake, Chapek made the mistake, Chapek corrected the mistake. He has come out verbally over and over again. He's corrected the board. He's apologized to employees. He's apologized to America. He's criticized DeSantis. He's taken on the heat of DeSantis saying, you're a woke corporation now. It's time to bring Disney back into the fold. They're the gayest employer in the world, and they support our community.
This segment has been sponsored by Disney, Disney World, Disneyland. Go to Gay Days, coming up soon. No, listen, okay, great. There's a girl astronaut that's gay. I thought Buzz was gay. I thought him and Tom Hanks were super chummy in the last movie. So you got me messed up there.
Oh, Laura and Sean are going to be heads exploding, calls for boycotts, corruption of the youth. And in the end, the world will go on a slightly better place because of this film.
Yes, absolutely right.
To quote Johnny Mathis and Denise Williams, too much, too little, too late.
Too late. Yeah, okay.
So that's today's news, everyone, for the LGBTQ plus community on the world's first and only daily LGBTQ plus evening news show. Is our community important to you?
You know it is, so you can help us by liking and subscribing. Ring the bell for updates and share the news with your friends and family.
Post this broadcast in the many groups you are a member of. Tonight's stories about our community deserve the attention of your family and friends.
Queer News Tonight is the only live LGBTQ plus digital television show in the world, ouch, that is out of the closet and into the headlines.
I'm not reading.
We need your support.
And you know, it would have probably been good if I'd have kept up with you there instead of concentrating on you. But if our community is to grow, we must tell our stories and bring them to the attention of the broader world. That's what we've done tonight. This is the only place in the world that tells these type of LGBTQ plus stories in motion and sound. And that is the passion of the Happening Out Television Network and Queer News Tonight. I'm your anchor, Al Ferguson, and on behalf of these LGBTQ plus reporters, the anchors of Queer News Tonight, including FayWhat, John Hayden, Dino Mosquera, and Gregg Shapiro, we will see you daily at 8 p.m. Good night.
Good night.
LGBTQ plus news is vital for our community and for the broader world as a whole. We have enough enemies at Fox News. Tucker, Sean, and Laura are loud. We need passionate allies. Happening Out Television Network, Queer News Tonight, and It's Happening Out are literally out of the closet and into the headlines. Our community needs your support. Like this broadcast and subscribe now to ensure the growth of the entire LGBTQ